You are about to participate in a great adventure. You are about to experience the awe and mystery which reaches from the inner mind.
With the emergence of global internet, a human population of several billions, an electronic noosphere, that we are now within the shadow of this transcendental object at the end of time.
I find it a little difficult to say what the subject matter is going to be, because
Logic is an enemy and truth is a menace.
Shake and bake, steps back, three-pointer, bang!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Midnight Variety Hour. We are here talking to you guys with no guest today, so this is the one camera angle you get, because it's all you need, because it's just us two, and we're going to kind of just bullshit around and talk for a little bit about some things that have been interesting us lately, because some weird stuff has been happening, and life is just crazy. So, Adam, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Trying to figure out where I am amongst the stars, you know?
Your birthday's coming up.
I know, and you know, I just saw someone talking about, I think I'm a Virgo.
Oh,
August
you
25th
don't
is a Virgo, right?
No, that makes you a Leo.
Oh, I'm a Leo? Are you sure?
Wait,
No, I think I'm a Virgo. I'm on, like, the edge of, like, that's why I always get it mixed up. Like, there's, like, a breaking point between Leo and Virgo.
Clarissa is the 21st,
Yeah.
and she's a Leo.
So I think I'm on the other
you're the
edge.
next one?
I think so.
But I thought after that was Cancer. No, Cancer comes before Leo. Cancer, Leo. I don't. It doesn't even fucking matter. What do you think about horoscopes and astrology and?
You know, actually, I opened up to it more recently because, well, here's the way I kind of looked at it. Whenever I looked at, like, when I first looked at, like, all of the, you know, predictions of what could possibly be happening in that day or that month or whatever, that I always thought that was bullshit. But then when I started to think about, okay, the moon obviously affects us, right? Like, we're all 70% water. The oceans, more than half of the planet is water, and the moon affects the tides, right? The moon makes the water rise and lower.
Sure.
So the Earth is being affected by the moon.
Mm-hmm.
That means our bodies have to be affected by the moon as well. We have water in our body, so and that's why I think whenever we see, like, the full moon, there's all these, you know,
Right.
people say, oh, this and that about it's a full moon or it's not a full moon, a new moon, and I think there's something to it. I don't know how much it is, but I think at least a small percentage, at least, it's affecting us a little bit. And then obviously the sun is affecting us. I mean, obviously the sun is a star in the you know,
Right.
in our solar system that's affecting us every day. It increases our vitamin D, it increases our things that are going on in our body, and that, you know.
But how
affects-
would the time of year that you're born?
All right, look, I'm not getting into that yet. Here's what I'm saying. So if those things are affecting us, we know that, right? I mean, I think it's fair to say those things are both affecting us at least a little bit. The sun and the moon,
A
which are
little bit. I mean, I think if anything, a very.
well, I mean,
small
without the
amount.
sun, we'd be dead.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it affects whether or not I'm, like, pessimistic or fucking.
Yeah, it does. Then why people in Seattle, Washington, or people?
No.
Why do people in Alaska or people who have very little
Well, what I'm
sunlight are
saying is,
depressed?
Are the distance
affects your mood.
between Earth and the sun based on, like, okay, like, let's say where Earth is in relation to the sun in the month of October. I don't have a different personality in October than I do in.
Look, I'm not getting into that yet. We can talk about that. I'm just talking about purely, does the sun affect you? It affects your mood. It definitely affects your mood and how you act in the day, right?
Sure.
That's why summertime, more people want to go outside.
Right.
It's warmer,
Okay.
it's hotter, it's affecting you, right? Yeah, it increases your vitamin D, it messes with your hormones, your neurotransmitters in your body. Yeah, all that.
All
we know, right?
But,
okay.
Okay, but do you believe that, if you were
And
born
then-
in December and you're a Sagittarius,
right.
then you have a strong pursuit for intellectual this stuff, and you
No,
need
no,
a
no.
strong communicative relationship. Like,
Yeah, I think a lot of that is being manipulated for people to make money
Right.
on, and obviously people find it interesting, but I do think the moon and sun affect us, and I also think the planets would also affect us. We obviously know Jupiter has a super strong gravitational pull. We know other planets, affect the solar system in different ways. So I think whenever those are in different positions within the solar system and our relationship to them being on Earth, I think it does have some effect on humans and on life in general, whether we feel it or not, and whether it makes a huge difference or not. I don't know, but I think it is affecting us at least a little bit. And then you can get into all of that. That's how I at least understand astrology, and at least within our solar system. And then you can just think of, the universe in a whole. How are other galaxies and other, supernovas and other things affecting us whenever there's a giant star that explodes and those particles are getting shot throughout the universe? Like, how is that affecting us? I don't know. But I think at least a little bit, right? I mean, it has to. At least a little bit, because everything's connected. But, that's just how I understand it. But I don't get into reading, I could possibly get a new job this month, or I could be seeing a new, I don't get into all that, but I do.
My whatever is, my Jupiter is ascending to retrograde or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, I think all that shit is.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is, like, for a lot of people, I would say the majority of people, like, if you were to read, like, let's say you're a Virgo, if you were to read a description about, like, what Virgos are like, you'd probably go, wow, okay, that kind of sounds like me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Gemini, and I've read, like, Gemini shit, and I've gone, okay, this is weird, but, I mean, this does kind of line up. But is it just lining up, like, in your head? Like, is your head just reading it and going, like, oh, like, is your head making connections that aren't there?
Well,
going, this is what I'm like.
A lot of that stuff is written to where it's very general and it's very broad. So it can make sense to almost anyone who reads it.
And it's very,
and
like,
relatable
sometimes
to
it's
anyone.
very complimentary. So, like, you're reading good shit about yourself and, like, what your sign is, and you're like, yeah, I do have a tendency for enjoying helping people. Like...
Right. So, yeah. And then, but I also think, I mean, cultures for thousands of years have been studying astrology and how it affects us and in relation to, how obviously, the crops every year, depending on what's going to happen with the rainfall this year or whatever it is, right? Because we know that based on where the stars are, where the sun is, where the moon is, it affects what's happening on Earth and, in front of us, right? So I think there's definitely something to it, but from what it's become today, I think it's become very whitewashed and,
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely a lot of there's a lot of books out there written that I think there's definitely something to it.
People devote their entire life to it.
Yeah, there's definitely something to it, but how much, I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, you have people that are, like, literally consumed by it, like defining their...
yeah, for sure.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm just a Pisces. And it's like, no, you're just a bitch. Like,
for sure. Well, I know somebody who does, I don't know if they make a living on it, but they definitely get paid to read people's, is it horoscopes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I know somebody who does it, and they enjoy it, and they love it, and they find real joy in it, and it makes them happy. So,
good for you, right? Like, you should do whatever makes you happy and whatever... you feel
That's
connected
definitely
to, as long as it's not hurting anyone else. I'm all about it. So
I mean,
it's just not for me. But it started in China, right? Zodiac signs go back to ancient China.
Oh, they go further back than that, man. Oh, you're talking about zodiac signs?
Yeah, like I'm
no,
talking
the
about...
zodiac's been ancient Egypt. They found a giant circular, and you can pull it up. It's actually looks fascinating. The zodiacs, they found it either in some structure or ancient site in Egypt of the zodiac, some ancient depictions of the zodiacs. It's been around for a long time.
Ancient zodiac map. Which one of these should I click on?
Yeah, I guess any of those. Fascinating stuff. I don't know if that's Egyptian, but they definitely go.
I mean, they're writing in English here, so
no, that's not Egyptian. It looks like it's a circular, like, seal or something that was, like, on a wall or on the ceiling. But it goes way back, man. I mean, even the Aztecs had their version of zodiacs. I mean, cultures have been studying this for thousands of years, and for good reason, because it does directly affect Earth and our relationship to it. So, but anyways, I like to look at it realistically, and, like, how, like, I like to look at, like, what I can see and what I can feel. That's why I was bringing up, like, how the sun and moon, because that's how I kind of see. Okay, let me break it down to, like, the most obvious things, and then expand, and then try to see. That's also how I look at, like, reincarnation, because I think. And no matter how you look at it, we are reincarnated, because once we die, we turn to dust. Just in basic terms, like, our body turns it back into dirt or dust or whatever you want to call it, and it gets recycled back into the life cycle. That's reincarnation. So whether you want to think
of your body, but I think when most people think of, obviously, like, in the literal sense, that's reincarnation.
Right.
But I would say the majority of people, when you think of reincarnation, you think of, like, a soul thing or like a mental thing, like your being reincarnated. So I mean,
I'm just saying,
yeah, for sure.
Like with things like that, there's definitely a side of it that's true, and that's just truth. That your body will be recycled back into the earth in the scheme of things, into the stars. When Earth is gone and exploded, you'll be back into the stars, and you're formed. Like this is you.
Who was it that said matter can never truly be destroyed? It's just changed, or whatever was that?
Yeah, matter cannot be created or destroyed.
Yeah, only changed or something like that. It was.
I forgot who said that, but.
I was doing or some shit. I don't know. But
yeah, it's probably one of the first laws of physics.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I guess so. Dust to dust, right?
Yeah. So and then there's a whole other side of it, which is the spiritual and all the near-death experiences that you can go into. But I think we wanted to talk about something else today. we got off on a little bit of a tangent.
We started talking about astrology, which of course involves the stars and planets, but something else interesting is happening out there amongst the stars and the planets, and it might actually involve humanity. According to the Israeli former chief of space exploration, a man named Haim Eshed, who came out with a report back in December of 2020, I think you said, right?
December 8th, I think.
All right, we just learned about this shit yesterday, but apparently the former chief of space exploration, if it was explained to me correctly, he was essentially like the guy that kicked off Israel's version of NASA.
They call him the father.
Yeah.
The father of space of Israel or something like that.
He basically founded Israel's version of NASA.
Right.
Like their space exploration program.
Right.
He was the father
He's
of that.
their Warner von Braun.
Sure.
Except probably not as evil.
Yeah. And Warner von Braun would hate him because he's Israeli or Jewish. Anyway, yes, because it was a Nazi man that took us to the moon. All right, but that's a whole other thing we can get into. We're not going to talk about Werner von Braun or Nazi scientists working for NASA. We're going to talk about this report that came out back in December. Haim Eshed is a man who I believe is 87 at the time. He's 88 now. This man is still alive. He claims that, there's a galactic federation of aliens, different species, that the United States government and other world governments are completely aware that they exist and have communicated with them. They claim that he claims that there's bases on Mars already that have human occupants, and they are working there and doing experiments. He claims that aliens from the Galactic Federation are operating here on Earth, doing experiments here. And he claims that the reason that this is not public knowledge or was never announced to the masses, or there was never some giant first contact release or anything like that, is because the Galactic Federation has said that humans are not ready, and we're only on the brink of understanding space and space travel, and we are not quite ready to live in a world yet where we are part of the Galactic Federation, or we are all openly aware of the existence of other intelligent species or extraterrestrials or whatever you would like to call them. So this guy could be completely crazy. This could be completely false and stupid as fuck and like just a dumb, goofy-ass article. Or this 87-year-old man who used to be the chief of space exploration of a major country could now just be retired and be like, I have nothing to lose.
Is he retired?
Yeah, he's retired.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know when he retired, but I think he retired maybe a while ago. But yeah, a man who was a very high-ranking national official in the realm of space exploration has said.
I mean, it's not like he was an employee or he worked for them. He was the guy.
Right.
He's the father of their space industry, which is like
we're not talking about like a country like I don't know, like fucking
some small island off the coast of India.
Yeah, like Azerbaijan or something. I mean, we're talking about a country who is extremely closely allied with the United States of America. Our air forces work very closely together. Like, I'm sure on a governmental level, there is a huge amount of interaction between us and them. So, when he's sitting there saying like, oh, I know for a fact the United States government is aware of these aliens and they're communicating with them and things like that. I mean, I think he would have access to that information if it was true. He claims that Donald Trump knew about the aliens while being in office. whatever. This whole thing is so insane, but it's fun to think about because what if it's true? What if there is a galactic federation?
I mean, I think it's ignorant to say that he's completely making this up or making a joke or he's foolish or he's losing his mind. I think it's ignorant to say that for that to be anyone's first notion because of the fact of his position and who he is. And I mean, he's a super credible scientist, researcher. I mean, and a government employee. Like this dude's not just your average Joe. So
He's
I think,
not a clown. Yeah.
you have to take his word for it until he's proven otherwise. I think that's just how I look at it.
Well,
because
and I mean, so this has happened before where a former government official has come out and stated, like, yes, there are aliens, multiple species. They've been here for thousands of years. They keep coming here. They're actively working with the government right now. The most notable other instance of this happening was a few years ago. A man by the name of Paul Hellyer. We've talked about him before on the show. He just passed away recently this past Sunday.
4 days ago, right? 5 days ago now.
Yeah. So R.I.P. to Paul Hellyer. He just died this month. Paul Hellyer was the former, basically he was the equivalent in Canada to the Secretary of Defense. I'm not sure what the position is called over there. It might actually still be called Secretary of Defense, or it might be Chief of Defense or something like that. But he was the Secretary of Defense of Canada for years, and
Many years.
Yeah, in a hearing recently, I think it was like 2008 or so, it was a while ago.
Yeah.
He came out and basically said, "Yeah, I've seen aliens with my own eyes. They are actively working with the government. They're, I think he said 4 different species that are currently
he said at least 4 different species we know of and have names.
Yeah.
The grays, the whites.
Yeah, the tall whites. Like he described them. He talked about, what their motives are here. For the most part, they seem like pretty good dudes.
Yeah, he said they were all willingly able to talk to them and communicate with them. And yes, this is eerily similar. It would be, and I told Tom this yesterday, it would be different if everyone's story was different.
Right.
But the fact that they are all so congruent and everything matches, 40 years ago, Buzz Aldrin said there was an obelisk on Mars or there was a base on Mars. And so, this has been coming up over and over again with the similar stories, and so it's like, how can we just write this off as,
Well, and the thing is that's really interesting about it is it's not major news at all. Like, we have a Israeli government official saying, or former government official saying, they are 100% aliens. They are actively communicating with us right now.
Yeah.
And it's not major news. We didn't hear about it until now, 8 months after the fact. And when it is reported on, which I've seen a few videos of it being reported on from back when this report happened, they're like clowning it.
Totally clowning it.
I saw one report where the news anchor is sitting there talking about, he's like, well, Kathy, we've got interesting news out of Israel. A former secretary of space exploration has said that they're just blasting off through the cosmos, and he's just like being a clown. They're playing the X-Files theme song in the background. And it's like, why is there such a hard push to make it seem like you would only care about aliens if you're like some tin foil hat wearing nut job?
Yeah, well,
it's like, why is the whole of humanity not more inclined to look up at the stars and wonder?
Well, I think a lot of people are. I think a lot of people don't openly talk about it because of being obviously, the obvious, reasons why people would just look down on you or think you're crazy or not take you serious and all of that. But there was a huge push by our government, the U.S. government in particular, to, make this look, to actually depict anyone who believed in UFOs as crazy. This was pushed and this was known, through our government. They're like, look, let's just make this all phony. Anyone who brings this topic up, we'll discredit them, make them look crazy. I mean, this has been going on for too long. And so we have it's also a similar thing with drugs in the country, or any other thing that's looked at with any type of discreditability. Like, just it's so easy to discredit someone who like,
Right.
oh, they smoke weed, oh, he's crazy, or they look into whatever it is, and you can just
Yeah.
immediately call them crazy. And this is another another topic on that. And so we're definitely living in the time of information like overload. We have obviously all these sources of internet, and all these people from around the world have come out and talked about UFOs. So like, I think we're right now living in this time where it's going to be like within the next 50 to 100 years, there's got to be a ton of like governments that are going to be coming out and openly sharing information. I mean, I already know our governments are sharing information, but I mean openly sharing it to the public. I mean, we've already seen so much happening in the past like 5 years, well, 10 years really. So it's a crazy time to be alive right now and to witness all of this happening.
Yeah.
I mean, this was 8 months ago now that came out. This year alone, we had multiple UFO reports coming out with visuals on these crafts. We have visuals
where the government like
from
was
our
like,
government.
Yeah, this visual is legitimate. Like, we can confirm this video is real.
Here's another crazy thing is people, like, even with all this information that's out right now, people are still walking around like it's not there.
Right.
We have so much information.
They did a whole like special on 60 Minutes where they sat down with Fravor, you know, and they were like, let's talk about they did a 60-minute special on the Tic Tac UFO. But somehow like this guy Haim Eshed, they clowned him. Now, granted, he went a bit further than just saying, oh, there's aliens. This man said humans are on Mars right now.
Right.
Working with aliens in base. Like, and then once you start using words like Galactic Federation, people go, oh, this is, some Rick and Morty bullshit.
Which is understandable. I mean, I get it. But I still, again, you shouldn't take this guy. You shouldn't take this guy. Like, you have to look at for who he is, what he's done in his career. He even said it himself. He said, look, I've already published all of my research that I've wanted to do. I've already been credited and I've been super established and I've done everything I wanted to do. He said if he would have put this information out 5 years ago, he said he would have been hospitalized. This is his quote. He said, I would have been hospitalized if I said this 5 years ago. But he said now in this time with information being put out the way it is, and I think it's because they're allies with the U.S. and what the U.S. is doing right now, in particular with those UFO files and the disclosure projects and everything that's come out recently. He's like, okay, maybe it's safer for this information to be put out, and a lot of people aren't being as scrutinized as they were. So he feels a little bit safer, and maybe he got some confirmation for someone else, said, all right, yeah, I'll get your back or make sure you're taken care of if anyone tries to come after you, because that's a real problem, obviously. And with, we have so many black projects and secret governments and the shadow government and whoever's running this stuff behind the scenes, is like, I mean, they obviously have pull, and there's been so many times where people just go missing. Whoever inventors of the, people who make cars that run on water, or anyone who makes anything that's, groundbreaking or shifting or says anything that's out of the mainstream narrative, they end up getting discredited, pulled off their job, killed, whatever. So, it's crazy.
Yeah. It is crazy because, it's just, it wouldn't make sense for us to be alone out here. Like, if you really just sit down about it with someone, if you were to sit down with someone who's skeptical and you ask them, like, okay, why do you think it's a joke? Like, why do you think it's silly? And you explain, like, how many planets there are out there and how mathematically insane it would be for us to actually be alone. You can't deny the fact that it makes the most sense to assume there is other intelligent life out there. And whether or not you believe they're going back and forth between Earth and all of that, that's up to you. But it's pretty hard to deny the fact that there's most likely other intelligent life out there.
Yeah, and anyone who hasn't heard the stories over the years or seen the officials, there have been a ton of military personnel go in front of Congress or our government and release these stories and these files. Stephen Greer led the Disclosure Project here in the U.S. and brought out, I don't know, a crazy number of U.S. pilots, Navy personnel, and people of, high-ranking officials come out and telling their stories. This is what we saw. This is what we accounted. Now, this wasn't to say that, yes, these are aliens. Yes, this is UFOs. They were just saying, look, here's our stories.
Right.
This is what happened to us. Take it for what it is. And I think that's important too, because before we start jumping to aliens or anything like that, and just acknowledge the fact that there are these things that are happening.
Right.
And so that is what is happening. That is happening at this moment, where yes, our government has confirmed these things are of unknown origin. That's fact number one. And that's something everyone needs to realize first. Okay, yes. And once people realize that, okay, they're of unknown origin. We don't know where they're from. They could be from the ocean, deep oceans of the Earth. They could be from the solar system, could be intergalactic. We don't know. But that's fact number one. And so once we know that, then we can start to, figure out where they're coming from. So, yeah.
Well, one thing that's interesting about it is, you're like, well, why wouldn't they tell us? What is so wrong with humanity that they won't just come out and reveal themselves to the masses? And apparently, according to this report, or the Haim Eshed disclosure, whatever you want to call it, he says that the aliens have stated one of the key reasons they think we are not ready to be brought into the openness of the Galactic Federation is directly related to the way we're treating the planet. The fact that we are so blatantly acting in a self-destructive manner, consumed by greed with no regard for the planet, and the fact that we continue to, just fuck our own world up.
Well,
They're
I think his direct quote, well, it's not directly what he said, but he said that humans weren't ready or weren't capable of understanding space travel and spaceships in general.
Right.
That's what he said. Spaceships and space
travel. Yeah.
So that leads me to think he's talking about their technology. And if we don't understand their technology, that could probably scare a lot of people, obviously being fear-based and wanting to go to war. I mean, a lot of the accounts of the U.S. pilots, they were ordered to shoot at these things and shoot them down. I don't know if they were successful in a few of them, but...
we don't know what it is. Shoot it.
Yeah, they're just shoot it, or it's immediately a threat, because they're jamming radars and doing all these things, going to nuclear bases, turning off nukes in all around the world, Russia in particular. But, you don't want to look at these as a threat, obviously, because, I mean, if they're advanced, they can either just wipe us away. But I don't think that's their intentions, and I think that's a big point of what he's saying, too, is look, no one's, we can't look at this as a threat. And then I think what you're talking about with making sure that we're taking care of our planet, and that could be their possible motives of coming here, to making sure we're not going to destroy each other, destroy the planet or our solar system. That's been a common theme around aliens and UFOs, where people either being told this telepathically by aliens, or a lot of the abduction stories where they're saying, look, they're talking to them telepathically saying, look, take care of this planet, you're destroying it, or you stop making nukes, or whatever it is. But yeah, it's been a common theme as well.
We're probably so fucking stupid of them, we're probably just this little baby civilization. It feels like we've been around forever, right? To us it seems like, oh, humanity is so old, we've been here on this earth for thousands upon thousands of years, and look at us now, we have skyscrapers and the internet and computers and shit like that. But the fact is, we're probably infants compared to these other species that are out there.
Yeah,
because I mean they're doing shit that if they really are just coming back and forth between Earth and shit like that, we could be alone in the universe. But I'm just saying, if this is really happening, we're dealing with a species or multiple species that are capable of folding space, being able to just transport instantly without, they're not up there thinking about rocket fuel or trajectory. They're literally just going, okay, we're going to go from here to there, blip, and they just probably pop up from, one point in the galaxy to the other side of the galaxy, or from one galaxy to another.
A lot of people and scientists think they're interdimensional, which gives them the ability to Well, it gives them the ability to not worry about space time.
No, they're
They
just
can go in and out of space
going
time
in
whenever
one
they
point,
want.
coming out the other. Yeah.
Yeah, so
They just,
and that would really be the best explanation for how you would want to travel throughout the universe,
Sure.
right? You wouldn't be traveling with rocket fuel or propulsion of any kind because it's just way too slow.
You just go from like
And
3000 BC
the speed of
in
light.
Egypt, and you just go, and it's now you're in 2200 in the middle of New York City. Just
Well, like the speed of light alone is too slow
no, it's way too slow
to travel the
I mean,
universe.
when you think about things like light years, like people hear light years and like they don't really grasp how much of a distance that is. But think about how fast, in relative terms, the speed of light is, and then think about how long a year is, and then people are like, "Hey, we found a habitable, a Earth-like habitable planet. It's only 1,000 light years away," and like that sounds close. The way scientists go, "Oh, only 1,000 light years." That amount of distance. So even if you were moving at the speed of light, which humans are nowhere near even remotely possible, like we're nowhere near even understanding what it would take to make speed of light travel possible. Even if you had that ability to go the speed of light, it would still take you 1,000 years. So it wouldn't even fucking matter. The speed of light is fast, sure, but it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of... And I think it was Einstein that said, like, physically traveling at the speed of light is, like, impossible. So these beings they're clearly not moving at a rate of speed that is extremely great. They're clearly either moving from one dimension to another or using little pocket dimensions, or they have found out how to fold space or warp speed or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
But they're not just zooming. They're not just like going crazy fast. They're just going.
But we do know they do travel with extreme speeds based on our radars and the technology, so that we know that they can move really fast.
They're capable of moving at thousands of miles an hour.
They can go from 0 to 1,000 extremely within less than a second.
Go from 60,000 feet off the ground to 10 feet off the ground.
So we know they're able to do that based on U.S. Technology.
Sure.
So there's that,
but if they're going back and forth between Earth and other planets, they're not doing it by just zooming. They're like going through some sort of a portal or wormhole or whatever.
For sure. Yeah, think about what they've seen, man. They just go and see whatever they want in the universe. Just go see a star in formation, a star exploding, black holes, anything.
Dude, it's like Doctor Who, man. He just like, there's times when he just, I'll go check out the end of the universe. But then sometimes he goes back to like the dawn of the universe, and he can just go to any point at any time.
And if all of this is true, which, it's very probable, maybe not. But if this is true, which I like to think it is, because it's just fun to think about.
Of course.
And, you brought something up yesterday, was like, it would really suck that if this is all true, that we're, like, humans are just missing out on it. Like, if there's all of these species throughout the universe who are, like, a part of the Galactic Federation or whatever it is, or whatever. Maybe he said that. Maybe it's just an agreement between other species who say, "Hey, look, we're not going to go to war." Maybe that's just what it is, or something like that. It doesn't have to be like an official document, or they have an official sign or logo or anything.
There is a chance that there is a citadel out there, and all these species. There's like a Solarian, and he's got an apartment 3 doors down from a Turian, and there's like a big shopping area where they're all just eating their like space food and like.
But it would suck that humans, maybe humans in general aren't, maybe our governments are in relation, so if we're pulling up Paul Hellier's account or others who say they have direct contact, maybe some humans aren't missing out on this and they are being able to communicate and talk with them and share information and share technology. Maybe that's why we have a lot of the technology we have today. But the public in general, most of humans aren't in that lucky 0.5% of the population who are able to communicate or talk with them. But, I do hope that, fairly soon that the public is aware of this and the public knows that we're not alone, and that, and hopefully it makes people feel better and not worse. Hopefully it makes you feel like, look, we're a part of this giant universe that we are still trying to figure out and trying to understand what we are and who we are in relation to the whole thing. So,
Well, what do you think would happen if they came out and announced it today? Like if Joe Biden came out right now and was like, "My fellow Americans, I'm here to announce to you today, we have made contact with extraterrestrials. we are in active communication with them. We're talking to aliens. Aliens are real.
You know,
They're here.
I don't think much would change.
You don't think people would just go, "Oh my God," like the Vatican would just be like losing their mind?
No,
you know?
and I think religions can go on. I think you know, because that's the big one. Everyone says, "Oh, people will just lose faith in their religions." No, just because aliens aren't mentioned in your holy book or your holy text doesn't mean that you don't have to go on continuing with your faith. Like, so I think that's bogus. A bogus reason why we shouldn't make it public. And you know, as far as knowing that you're not alone. Like, I don't think that would affect too many people that much. I mean, maybe some people will have some crisis and be like, oh my God, their entire reality is just shifted. But, you know, I think if you just accept it, I think most people just go on with their lives and you know, continue living just knowing that you're not alone out here in this universe. But, you know, and there's so much distractions too as well. You know, we obviously all have TVs and phones. And, you know, I think a lot of people just go on with their lives, just continue to be distracted by what you have in your pocket, and you know,
but it gets crazier if it gets to the point where like these aliens are, you know, they've seen super far back in time and they go, oh yeah, no, we know how the universe was created. Yeah, none of you guys got it right. This, you know, or if they go, yeah, we actually created you guys. Then oh my God, then it's different. Then the world is like completely.
And it's
changed
also
forever.
different if this is a real possibility as well. If our government says they're a real threat and we should be threatened, we should, you know, boost up all of our military, make sure everyone's.
If the military's like, hey, they're a threat and we can't touch their shit, so. You know.
And then that's our government manufacturing fear and manufacturing this crisis, and then people will go crazy, because they think they're going to be destroyed by aliens. But, you know, hopefully our government doesn't do that. But, you know, you only hope for the best. But, you know, so I honestly don't think it'll be that, you know. And if that's the case too, hopefully our technology will be increased dramatically. Hopefully, you know, maybe a lot of people don't have to work anymore, and we can put our energies towards being loving, kinder, happier people and doing things that we love to do: art, explore, see the world, do whatever it is, and just live in harmony and not have to worry about doing a 9-to-5 job to pay bills.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Beam us up.
Because the technology is another part. Like, once we have the technology and a huge theory around all of this is a 0-point energy. And if anyone hasn't heard about 0-point energy, look it up, because it's been studied and looked into by a ton of scientists and researchers all around the world. So that's a fascinating topic in itself, because 0-point energy is literally just taking energy from like vacuum space. It's literally just taking energy from the air in front of you, the energy that you see in front of you. There was also a quote I saw where someone said that there's I'm going to butcher this. Something about there's the same amount of energy in the ocean within the empty space of a coffee cup, or something like that. Like if you wanted to like put in terms of like how much energy is within a small space, like within the size of like your palm or something, it's like infinite almost. Like it's massive, the amount of energy that's actually there,
just in the
that you can actually
empty
pull
space.
from. Right. So
we're sitting inside of a superconductor right now. We're just this room alone.
Yeah, I mean, energy, like we talked about it with Sosa on the podcast. If anyone hadn't heard that episode, is awesome. And, you know, that was the understanding, like he was talking about the understanding that waves and frequencies are everywhere. And then there's obviously 99% of the spectrum we can't see or feel or interact with. And that's all energy. That's all radiation. That's all, you know, moving and constant. So, like, we know it's there. But how can we tap into it? And 0-point energy is that technology. And so if we have that, I mean, just think about how something like that is completely sustainable. You have one device that pulls energy forever, unless it's, you know, hopefully it's not mechanical. Maybe it's something that's, I don't know. But, you know, if we have every person has that in their home, a 0-point energy device, I mean, how would that change the world? You know what I mean? So that's a huge point too.
And what it means for us in space exploration, and, you know, just humans can blast off through the cosmos, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Listening to logic.
The scary thing is the capacity for humans to take new technology and go, how do we weaponize this? And, you know.
Yeah, and so that's a real reason why the U.S. and many countries probably have kept it secret so long. They want to have the advantage. Obviously, that we had the whole arms race and back then. So if you had this technology, why would you want to share it with the world if that can immediately
give you a leg
advance
up on
you? That's a real reason, a real point, probably why. That's probably the reason why it's being hidden the way it is.
Yep. Crazy shit. But to anyone that didn't know that report existed, go check it out. Just type in his name, Haim Eshed. It's Haim is his first name, last name Eshed. And read it, or watch a video about it. And
No, don't watch the videos.
Okay.
Go read his actual. Go read his quote.
Yeah.
Go read his quotes,
Sure.
like what he actually said. That way you can see straight from him his words that he said. That way you can get no biased. You don't have to get ET music playing in the background. Just get the real
because
stuff.
That's so
because,
goofy.
Yeah.
And also, full disclosure, he could be fucking crazy. But I tend to think he's probably not.
Yeah. Until he proves otherwise.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. I'm sorry. I just think there are aliens, and I don't give a fuck if that makes people think that I'm crazy, because I think it's stupid to think that that's crazy. And with that being said, I think that's the Midnight Variety Hour for this week. What do you think? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Go Colts. Carson Wentz back on the practice field. If anyone doesn't know, I probably haven't even talked about it once on this podcast, but I'm a huge Colts fan, and I'm really happy for this season.
Episode 0, that was it.
Yeah, Colts are going to go to the Super Bowl this year. We're going to destroy and obliterate every competitor in our way.
Mm-hmm.
Quentin Nelson. We got a stacked defense. We got a brand new quarterback who's ready to make waves. Watch out.
The Colts will start the season 0-1 as they open up against the Seattle Seahawks. And then we'll go from there. It'll be a good season. We're doing our office fantasy football league, so I'm sure we'll be talking fantasy football on the show eventually. And
but you see what I mean? That's how people can go on with their lives. Look, we just talked about UFOs and the existence of aliens, but we're still football fans.
They're
and we're
here right
gonna
now.
Go watch football after
and we're
this.
still like, yeah, Colts Seahawks, let's talk shit.
You know what I mean? So
Maybe
maybe
they like football. Wonder what team they cheer for. Maybe they love Tom Brady. Maybe that's why they're here, and we want to work with Tom. Yeah, man, life goes on,
Yeah, for sure.
Life goes on, and so read a book, watch a cool video on aliens, and just prepare yourself for the possibility that sometime in the next 20 years or less or more, you're going to be finding out about the concrete proof of aliens.
There's also a great docuseries that just came out on Netflix about UFOs. I forget what it's called. I forget the name of it, but it's trending.
It's just called like UFO or something, right?
It's UFO Projects Disclosure, UFO Disclosures Unclassified, UFO Unclassified, something like that. But anyway, it's a great project put out by a lot of people, credible people. Many of them are actually on the Joe Rogan podcast, which I heard about these guys and about their stories. So definitely check that out if you want to learn more. That's a brand new series that just came out on Netflix, and they talk a lot about everything we talked about today.
Top secret UFO projects declassified.
There you go. Check it out.
There's Jeremy Corbell. Oh, shit.
Yeah, Jeremy Corbell's on there. A lot of credible guys are on there. So check it out. Get some more information and share it with your friends and family. And spread the conversation, man.
That's right. And now, more than ever, stay safe out there in the cosmos.
Peace.